What is up, guys? Welcome back to the soon-to-be rebranded Jenks and the Hammer podcast. I'm your host, Grayson Jenkins, and as you know, Hammer has not been with us the last few weeks. He unfortunately does not have time to do the podcast anymore, so we're going to do a rebranding. Let me know if you guys have any name recommendations down below. I've been trying to figure out a name, but nothing's been clicking yet, so once I get that, I'll rebrand the podcast, and we'll get into a new era of the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. As you guys know, Week 5 is over, and we're getting into Week 6. It's kind of crazy that Week 6 is already here in the NFL season. We're already to the third of the way through the season, and it's been pretty much chaos throughout this first 5 weeks of the season. My picks have been horrible, and it's probably the worst record I've had in a long time doing pickems for the NFL. It's been a long time since I can remember having this bad of a record. But let's get right into our review of the weekly leaderboard. So as you guys know, I have a weekly pick'em group that basically the winner of this group will get a free jersey. So keep an eye out for the leaderboard every single week. At number 1, we got Picking Grapes with R. Ramirez. Hit of Ranch at number 2, D. Pearson. And Picking Grapes is 47-30. That's impressive for this season. He's at 95.2% on the season. Unjuicy J at 45-32. And then Ty's at 43-32. And I'm all the way down at 15. Should be 11, or it'll actually be like 14, 15, because I technically have a 39-39 record, which is nothing to be like happy about, but I'm not completely frustrated either because it could be a lot worse. Anyways, getting into right into our Week 6 picks, I think this is an exciting week of football. There's a few games on here that are very exciting, kind of under the radar games as well on this docket. So let's get right into Thursday Night Football here. We got the 49ers taking on the Seahawks. And in this game, the 49ers and Seahawks both came off very disappointing losses. Both teams coming off losses to teams that were expected to beat by a good amount. The 49ers losing after taking a 10-point lead to the Cardinals, and the Seahawks never really getting a hold of the Malik Neighbors-less Giants. It was just a surprising game. Obviously, the Giants had they gave up a 99-yard return fumble touchdown to the Seahawks in like the first drive of the game. And the Seahawks still lost the game. That's a nuts stat right there. The Giants later on in the game block a field goal, the game-tying field goal for a touchdown, and it just seemed like the Seahawks never really got control of things in that game. And it was a surprising thing to see because DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, and JSN have all been balling out this season. Geno Smith's been playing well. Their defense, it was good the first few weeks, but last couple of weeks it's gone a little bit off the hinges. So it's interesting to see what the Seahawks are doing. The 49ers, on the other hand, their team is, yes, banged up a little bit, but it's not as bad as some of these teams like the Saints. Definitely not as banged up as them. But they didn't play up to their standards. Their offense didn't. Brandon Ayuk went off. He went off, and they still lost the game to the Cardinals. Obviously, Kyler Murray had a good game, and Marvin Harrison Jr. had a good game. I'm going to let those two do their thing this whole season. I'm excited to see what they're going to do the rest of the year. But I think the 49ers shouldn't have won that game. So my pick for this game is going to be a little bit, I think, surprising to some people. But I'm going to go with 49ers here in this one. I'm going to the Seahawks. Their defense is not playing very well. Their O-line is banged up. The 49ers offense, I think, can beat this 49ers defense. And I think the 49ers defense can shut down Kenneth Walker. And I think that's all you got to do to beat this team. So I'm going to go to the 49ers in this one. Next, we got the London game of the week. We got the Jaguars taking on the Bears. The Jaguars are basically going to be the home team of London over the next few years, I think, because they've just been playing a bunch of London games. But they're taking on the Bears, who just came off a win against the Panthers nonetheless. And the Jaguars got their first win of the year after Joe Flacco was going off. He had 300-plus passing yards, started off really hot. Jaguars took the lead, and they almost choked, but they held it, and they got the win. The Bears, Caleb Williams is finally getting his feet under him. He looks really solid in the offense, and their defense is still one of the best in the league. I love what their defense is doing. I said that going into the year, that I think their defense is going to be one of the top units. So for this game, I'm going to go to the Bears here. I just think that they're going to be able to limit Trevor Lawrence enough that Caleb Williams can control the game, get DeAndre Swift the ball a few times, get his receivers, a lot of receivers over there. We all know that. And Cole Kmet, they haven't really been involving him heavily in this offense, but I would love to see him get more and more involved as the year goes on. So I think the Bears win this one in London. And we'll see what the Jaguars do next week in London as well. Then after that, I think you got the game of the week right here. We got the Commanders taking on the Ravens in Baltimore. Both of these teams are probably two of the hottest teams in the league. The Commanders broke into my top 5 power rankings, and the Ravens are also back into the top 5 power rankings as well. And I think the Ravens, the key to them was really just getting a hold of this running game. As soon as they all got in the same chemistry, the flow got going, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the same backfield, that's a dangerous duo. Derrick Henry, you could put him down for a touchdown a game. It's almost guaranteed. You bet on Derrick Henry every single game, you'll make your money. I promise you that. Lamar Jackson, he can scramble and just torture teams with his legs and then throw the ball. You can just throw it up to Isaiah Likely. He'll come down with it in the red zone. He showed that last week to beat the Bengals. On the other side, you got the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is playing absolutely lights out for that team. I mean, they played the Browns last week, so it wasn't extremely impressive. But he's doing everything you ask him to do. He can scramble and get extra yards when he has pressure in his face. He can throw to open men, and he can also hit guys deep down the field in stride over the shoulder. What more can you ask for out of a quarterback? I don't think anything. I just don't think you can ask for anything more out of a quarterback, and Jaden Daniels is getting the job done. That being said, the Ravens are a very tough opponent. I don't think they've played this tough of an opponent yet this season. Obviously, the Browns are like the toughest opponent they faced, and they're 1-4. So the Ravens come into this game extremely hot on offense. Their defense is solid. I think it's better than the Commanders' defense. So I'm going to have to give this game to the Ravens here. I think the Ravens can beat the Commanders. The Commanders come back down to earth a little bit, but they're still a good team. I'm not saying they're not a good team. They're just going to come back down a little bit with this one. Then you got the Cardinals taking on the Packers in Green Bay. The Packers, Jordan Love is still looking to get his feet under him after his injury. His injured knee is still looking like it has affected him just a little bit of comfort in the pocket, things like that. Last week, obviously, against the Rams, he had that one play where he looked like Will Levis. Pulled a Will Levis, running out of the backfield, trying to avoid a safety or whatever, tried to stow it away, throws a pick six. And it was like, what the hell are you doing? But then they bounce right back and take a controlling game and beat the Rams in convincing fashion. I think the Rams have a solid offense, but the Packers defense is playing absolutely lights out on defense. I love their defense right now. Xavier McKinney, 5 picks in 5 games. The guy, I mean, I can't even, it's ridiculous. I had Giants fans, especially KO, our friend KO, saying, oh yeah, no, Xavier McKinney's not that good. It's not a good pick. Their pickup in free agency. Yes, it was. Very clearly, it was a great pick for the Packers because he's balling out for them. Absolutely balling out. And I think Josh Jacobs is also starting to warm up a little bit. Romeo Doubs was out last game because he was suspended. He'll come back in. So it's interesting to see what their offense is going to do. The other side, the Cardinals, like I said, beat the 49ers. You never know what this team's going to do every week. You have no clue because they've had games where they come out and beat better teams or play competitively with better teams like the Bills and the Lions. And then they come out and they lose to poor teams. You just have no clue what this team is going to do. Actually, I'm sorry, not poor teams. So the Commanders aren't a poor team, but they got blown out by the Commanders, which it just looked terrible. The Cardinals need to rely on Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. If those two play well every single week, they can win a lot more games. But if they play mediocre or even less, they're done. That's what we saw against the Commanders. Kyler Murray didn't have that great of a game, and they lost very, very badly. Kyler Murray has a good game against the 49ers. They win. So if Kyler Murray can come out against the Packers, not throw any picks, avoid dumb mistakes, they can win the game. But I'm going to go with the Packers on this one just because I think their defense and offense is starting to click, and I think complementary football is going to start happening, and they're going to start winning a lot more games. Next, we got the Texans taking on the Patriots. The Texans just lost Nico Collins. Stephon Diggs is going to look to step up for them. Tank Dell as well. Joe Mixon, I don't know if he's going to be back for this game yet, but it's looking like he's most likely not going to be. They need him back to be able to really, really succeed on offense. The Patriots they're not really doing anything on offense, or their defense is all right, but their offense is not doing anything. They just determined that Drake Maye will be the starter for this game. I think he's going to be absolutely ragdolled. This Houston defense is absolutely ridiculous on the line. And you're putting your rookie quarterback, who you have invested so much into. Why is he not in earlier? If you think that he could play an NFL game and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna bench Jacoby and we'll put in Drake Maye. Why'd you not do it earlier? Why do it against a team that has a strong-ass defensive line that will manhandle your O-line and kill your rookie quarterback? It's setting him up for failure. I mean, if Drake Maye comes out and kills it, then hey, he's the guy. He's the franchise. But I just think it's unlikely in this sort of game to come out, start your first start your first game in your NFL career against this kind of team and succeed. But with that limited offense, it's possible that they stay in it and it's a close game. But I don't think that's really going to happen. I think the Texans win convincingly in this one. Next, we got the Buccaneers taking on my Saints. And as you guys all know, the Saints have absolutely fallen off the tracks. The train is no longer humming like it was. We were top 5 power rankings on everyone's rankings. We were killing it. Our offense was the best in the league scoring, and now we can't do anything. And I think a lot of that comes down to injuries. I'm not going to get too into this. I will break down the Saints after my picks. I'll break them completely down for all the Saints fans out there. But I just think the injuries are truly killing this team. And obviously, Derek Carr's down, and now we're starting Spencer Rattler. So that's exciting for Saints fans. The agenda is finally here. You could say Spencer Rattler, you could determine if he's the future with this game. You really can't. If he comes out with an O-line like we did last week, he's going to get killed. Better yet, if he does do anything or if he doesn't die, I just don't see it proving much because of the O-line. Now, if he comes out and wins this game and does like amazing in the offense, then yeah, you probably got your franchise quarterback and you can be extremely happy. On the other side, you got the Buccaneers coming in. Obviously, you have a lot more than just football to play for this week, as Hurricane Milton is hitting right now as I record this episode. So hopefully they're doing well over there. The Buccaneers came to New Orleans early to practice, get ready for the game. And they're also pissed off because last week they lost in overtime to the Falcons, and the Falcons absolutely obliterated them. 500 yards passing by Kirk Cousins is you should never allow. And to me, I just think the Buccaneers have to win this one. If you're the Buccaneers, you can't lose to the Saints without their O-line, without their starting quarterback. You have to win this game. And I'm picking the Buccaneers. I can't believe in this offense. Saints, please prove me wrong. I don't even know what I would do. I would do anything for you guys to win this game, but I just don't see it happening. And I need to catch up to all these people ahead of me in this one. Everyone's ahead of me, so I gotta catch up. But the Buccaneers, I think, win this one. I think Baker Mayfield's been playing really well. If their defense doesn't improve, if their defense plays like they did last week, the Saints do have a shot in this one, just because their defense did not play well at all passing-wise. And Chris Olave could get a lot more targets with a rookie quarterback in there, just trying to force feed him the ball. So I'm going to go to the Bucs in this one. I think they'll win pretty easily. Next, you got the Browns taking on the Eagles. And in this game, the Eagles, this is make or break for Nick Sirianni. If the Eagles come out and lose to the Browns, who, let's be honest, have absolutely sucked, and it's because of Deshaun Watson. I'm not trying to say it's all on Deshaun Watson, but he has not played well. And there's times in the last game, he got sacked 7 times. There were times where it was the offense just stinking it up, pressure immediately in his face, things like that. But then there were other times where he's just running around the pocket, trying to do dumb things, and it does not work out well. When he gets sacked, gets a strip sack, things like that, lose the ball. And in the red zone, even before he threw that one to Jerry Jeudy, where Jerry Jeudy dropped it, he had David Njoku open on first down. And he had, I guarantee there are other players open. He's not seeing the field well, and he's not able to grasp what they're trying to do. Joe Flacco did it easily last year. Deshaun Watson is not. And maybe if Nick Chubb was in, maybe they could win this. Maybe they could play better, but I don't see it happening. I think the Eagles absolutely demolish them. I think Saquon Barkley is going to come out and run the lights out of this stadium. I think Saquon's absolutely going to demolish the Browns. And I just think the Eagles are going to want to win this one pretty easily. If they lose Nick Sirianni, you might as well not even fly back, or you might not even walk back into the stadium after the game, because you're going to be fired. You're canned. You're done if you lose to the Browns. Next, you got the Colts taking on the Titans. This one, I don't mind this game. I think the Titans, their defense is solid. They're fighting for a lot. The Colts, without Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco has been absolutely balling. I don't have too much to say. I mean, the Joe Flacco is the Colts offense right now. He's killing it passing. And the interesting thing is, if Anthony Richardson comes back and Joe Flacco is killing it like he is, who do you start? I'm starting Joe Flacco. Yes, Anthony Richardson can make explosive plays. Maybe you split reps for both of them because you know Joe Flacco, as soon as he plays too much, starts getting a little iffy. So I don't know. I think the Colts here win this one. The Titans aren't a good team in any shape or form. I think their defense is solid, but that's about all they got going for them. I don't believe in that team. Will Levis obviously had a meme every single game he's played in so far. Bye week last week. I wish there was like a meme from bye week somehow, some way. Someone like saw him as he was walking around the wild, took a picture. Hey, it's Will Levis meme, whatever. I don't know. I think the Colts win this one. There's not really too much to say. Josh Downs has had 2 straight good games. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. I mean, playing absolutely ridiculous on the deep balls. 2 extremely clutch plays to take the lead or take the game back in the Colts' hands last week. They weren't able to fully win the game, but they surely got closer. It was because of Alec Pierce. So I'm going to go with the Colts here in this one, beating the Titans. And next you got the Chargers coming off a bye week. Hopefully got a few more healthy players after they were banged up the couple weeks prior. Taking on the Broncos, who are absolutely believing. The Broncos are absolutely believing right now. Bo Nix and their defense killed the Raiders. Absolutely killed them. Gardner Mitchell's benched. Aiden O'Connell's up now. And yes, they didn't have Devontae Adams, but the Broncos, and I'll say this real quick, as a former white corner, I see you, Ryan Moss. I see you. White corners stand up. No one clipped that. But anyways, I just think Riley Moss, Patrick Surtain is absolutely clamping everyone. He's the number 1 corner in the league right now, no doubt. Anyone says, oh, this corner is a little bit better because of this. No, you're wrong. Patrick Surtain is the best. Their offense getting a little bit more control under it. Bo Nix yelling at Sean Payton on the sideline. That's what you need. You need someone who's going to stand up to Sean and talk back to him and say, hey, this is that, whatever, yada, yada, yada. When Sean Payton's yelling at him, he wants to see that you can do that. He's not going to be pissed. He's going to say, yeah, that's a man I'm talking to, not a little boy like Russell Wilson. And he's a rookie. On the other side, you got the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh has changed the culture. And I think, yeah, Justin Herbert was down 2 starting tackles. That's going to hurt. And in this game, that's going to hurt. If they're out, you're done. The Chargers are done. They're not winning this game. J.K. Dobbins is going to look to kind of return to what he was the week 4. He wasn't really able to play very well. So maybe this week he can bounce back. But I just don't see it really happening against his defense. So I'm going to go with the Broncos in this one. I think it's a home game. The atmosphere is going to be electric. Rivalry opponent on a win streak. The Broncos at 4-2. I would be scared going into week 6 or week 7 in New Orleans. I'd be scared of the Broncos coming in on a win streak like that. I think the Broncos win. They keep believing and carry it into week 7. Next, we got the Steelers taking on the Raiders, and this is a game that just no one should have to watch. No one wants to watch Aiden O'Connell take on the Steelers defense. Do you? I know I don't. I mean, the Steelers held the Cowboys to a last-second game-winning touchdown. They tried their hardest. Justin Fields, that offense could not get it going. George Pickens looks like he's running molasses on his routes. It looked terrible. Their defense played well enough to keep them in that game, and they couldn't do it. The Raiders, they're lost. They are lost. The culture over there is terrible. I think, yeah, it's the Raider way for Antonio Pierce to kind of lead this team to what? To what? Nothing. There's no culture. Because I sure as hell know Max Crosby is the only one that's actually doing anything badass Raider-like on that team. No one else is. That offense isn't anything. Defense doesn't really scare anyone except for you, Max Crosby. Jack Jones, maybe. That's about it. But I think the Steelers win this game. I think their defense is absolutely going to crush Aiden O'Connell, especially if Devontae Adams isn't back or playing. Who knows what's going on with that situation? So I think the Steelers come out and absolutely whoop the Raiders in this one. Then you got the Falcons, the Foul Clowns. taking on the Panthers in Carolina. And man, sorry. Man, do I hope Andy Dalton just comes out, red rifle, slinging it around, and beat the Falcons. I'm praying. Will it happen? No. I'm praying it does, but it's not going to. The Falcons, I mean, they absolutely lit up the Buccaneers. And the Panthers' defense is 10 times worse. So how on earth do the Panthers think that they're going to shut down this offense? They're not. Simple as that. I think Kirk Cousins is going to light it up. I think they finally get Bijan on the ball a little bit more. But Tyler Algier has looked really, really good. And I hope people recognize that he looked like their RB1 the last couple weeks. When he's running the ball, he can do things that Bijan has not been able to in the NFL. Period. So I think the Falcons win against the Panthers. I'm not going to add too much more. The Panthers are a terrible team. Probably the worst team in the league still. Andy Dalton, yes, they won the first week he started. A little bit of a burst. But it wasn't, I'm not impressed. I'm not phased. They lost the last two. So the Panthers are going to lose this one. Falcons win. Sadly. Please win, Panthers. Next, we got the Lions taking on the Cowboys. And before the season, man, if I saw this game, I would have been very, very excited. Very excited. Lions take on the Cowboys. Cowboys, they're going into the season. I mean, yeah, their running back wasn't great, but you still thought this team was going to be solid. They've sucked. I mean, we saw it. The Saints absolutely killed them on offense. You can run the ball, they're done. And guess what the Lions do? Run the ball. The Lions are going to absolutely run the ball down the Dallas Cowboys' throats. Absolutely destroy them. They're going to say, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, you're going to run until you can't walk anymore. That's what they're going to do. And the Cowboys aren't going to be able to stop it. Dan Campbell's going to be sitting on the sideline laughing evilly, maniacally laughing. That's all he's going to be doing. You want to know why? He knows the Cowboys aren't stopping him. He's not worried. And you think, oh yeah, the offense, the Cowboys offense is high powered. They just have CD and Jake Ferguson. That's all you got to worry about. Yeah, Tolbert had a game-winning catch. I don't think anyone fears him. Because if you can run the ball, win time of possession, get a lead, the Cowboys cannot play from behind. They can't. They barely beat the Giants and the Steelers. They're not beating the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions on this one. Next, you got Sunday Night Football. We got the Bengals taking on the Giants. What a Sunday Night Football game. What a Sunday Night Football game. The Bengals, I mean, 1-4 after playing an absolutely amazing game against the Ravens last week. The Bengals offense was balling out. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins were absolutely killing it. Chase Brown, he might take the RB1 spot over Zach Moss. He's been killing it the last 2 weeks. And Joe Burrow is finally back on track. He's my fantasy quarterback. I love it. I was going into last week. I was like, he's been trash. He hasn't been playing well. Even the first quarter last week, I was a little bit scared. I thought he was going to put up another dud, another goose egg. And I was telling my buddies, I was at UVA over the weekend. I was like, oh, he's not going to do well. We're screwed. I'm screwed. Joe Burrow's going to lay up a goose egg. I'm going to lose in fantasy. He didn't. He scored like 30, almost 30 points. Still lost. But he killed it. He did his job. Thank you, Joe Burrow. Keep it going. I love you. On the other side of the ball, you got the Giants who beat the Seahawks without Malik Neighbors. And if Malik Neighbors is back for this one, they sure as hell can beat the Bengals too. And here's why. Their defense is playing solid. Their offense, Daniel Jones hasn't made mistakes. He didn't make any last week's. The fumble was not on him. That was just, I mean, the fumble was chaos. Like, that's just like an unlucky thing that happens at the 1 yard line when you're reaching for the goal line. That's like, there's chance that it happens every single time. And it's pure luck. Yes, the defenders are hitting the ball out. They're trying to every single time. But usually most of the time they won't be able to get an angle to it. So it was pure luck, and it was a good play by them. The Giants can win this game, but I'm going to pick the Bengals here. The Bengals offense is getting their feet under them, and I don't think they lose another. They can't afford to lose this game. The Bengals are going to be all out. They're going to be cooking up special plays, anything they can do to win this game against the Giants. So I'm going to go the Bengals. Next, we got Monday Night Football. The Bills taking on the Jets. A huge game for this division. Absolutely huge game. The Bills fall into 3-2. The Jets fall into 2-3. They're looking to even it up and take the lead on the division with a win over the Bills in this one. And Aaron Rodgers, I mean, wow. Aaron Rodgers did not look good last week. 3 picks in my Dynasty Fantasy League. A pick is 4 points lost for a quarterback. And he threw 3 of them. 3 of them things. And, you know, before the final drive, I'm talking to my buddies. I'm like, you know, it's not that bad. He had 13 points, I'm like, hey, this is a solid outing. Yeah. And then third pick, less than 10 points. No longer a decent, solid outing. So Aaron Rodgers absolutely lost. I lost all faith in him because without Devontae Adams, he doesn't seem, and Alan Lazard, who can't catch. That's the big issue there. He has no chemistry with these guys. Yes, Garrett Wilson had an insane amount of targets, absolutely disgusting amount of targets, and did go off in fantasy. When you're getting 20 plus targets a game, you should. But he doesn't have the chemistry that he has to with a guy like Devontae Adams on this team, and that's hurting that offense. And the offensive scheme is absolutely awful. Some of the play calls, you're sitting there scratching your head. And Nathaniel Hackett looks like he has no clue what he's doing. We saw that in Denver as well. And they decided, hey, let's get Nathaniel Hackett. That'll turn things around in New Jersey when we get Aaron Rodgers as well. No, it won't. He sucks. Aaron Rodgers, maybe, not Nathaniel Hackett. They also just followed Bob Saleh. And that's a big blow. I don't know why they would do that. It's not the defense. The defense is the one losing you games. They held the Vikings to a responsible number. Not you guys score. You guys not scoring lost you the game. 3 turnovers loses you the game. Terrible play calling loses you the game. That's what happened. Nothing else. There's no one else to blame but the offense. Not Bob Saleh. He should not have been fired. What are they going to do? Is this defense going to get better? Is the team randomly going to unify together without Bob Saleh there? No. I think that was a ridiculous thing to do. Did not make any sense in this part of the season. It does not make sense. And yes, his record did not reflect a good head coach. But when you have terrible quarterbacks, terrible offensive coordinators, that's bound to happen. And I'm pretty sure, damn well sure, he was going to fire Nathaniel Hackett soon. He didn't get the chance. He's gone. What are you going to do about it? The Bills on the other side, man. Josh Allen looked terrible. He's trying to force the ball deep too much. Couldn't find the open man. Had a terrible completion percentage. And when you get the ball at the 3-yard line with a minute left before the game, and your opponent will be in field goal range if you don't get any yards, you decide to go out and throw the ball 3 straight times. 3 straight times. You save them a timeout. You get no yardage. And then you punt the ball where you're at. And they're easily in field goal range. And you're not thinking about that? Like, Dermot, you're not thinking about that? Clearly not. Absolutely atrocious play calling, time management, and they lose the game because of it. It should have gone to overtime. You either run the balls 3 straight times, you could take one pass play. If it doesn't work, you run the ball. It's a wash. You go to overtime. Instead, you decide to do that. Absolutely horrendous. Now in this game, I think the Bills win. I think the Jets are in a disarray right now. I don't think the Jets win this game. I think the Bills, if they don't have Josh Allen, they're losing. But I think Josh Allen cleared concussion protocol. He came back in after he got knocked out cold, which was absolutely wild. How did he get back in that game? I think the Bills win this one and beat the Jets in New Jersey. Teams on bye this week are the Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, and Vikings. The 2 number 1 teams from both conferences are on bye. Must be nice. I mean, if they're banged up, that must be nice. Chiefs, I don't think they'll be able to get anyone back because their injuries are a little bit longer term. The Vikings, they're just chilling. They're laying back saying, all right, we'll take a week off. I think they probably think they wish they had a later week off. Let's get ready for the playoffs. Dolphins, Rams, needed. Rams are absolutely destroyed by injuries. Dolphins, who knows what they're doing. I mean, yeah, they won the game, but I don't see them doing anything in the AFC. Rams, they're just too far gone in the NFC. I think, yes, Matt Stafford's good. Kyrie Williams is good. All their receivers are banged up, and it's going to be tough for them to bounce back in the NFC as well. So that'll do it for my week 6 picks. If anyone else is no longer interested in hearing my Saints spiel, that's what I'm going to be going into. So if you guys are checking out, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be here every single week doing these picks. I love doing my picks. So you guys just come in. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below your guys' thoughts, and I'll keep it going. Anyways, to all the Saints fans out there, man, that would be the most disappointing game in a long time that I can remember as a Saints fan. And it's not because of the performance of Derek Carr. A lot of people out there, oh, Derek Carr sucked. It was all Derek Carr's fault. No, it wasn't. The O-line, terrible. Defeated by injuries, and you can't win in that conditions. When you have pressure, there's a clip. Lucas Patrick, I'll see if I can put it here. Lucas Patrick literally let up a guy. He's in center. The guy lines up right in front of his face. Right in front of his face. Lucas Patrick steps to the right, looks away from the guy. Doesn't even try to look at him. He saw him in front of him lining up, looks away from him, doesn't even touch him. Lets the linebacker free run at Derek Carr right in the middle of the field. Derek Carr shits his pants. What else are you going to do? What else do you want him to do? Yes, the pick on the 1st and 10 in the first drive of the game, that was his fault. Boneheaded mistake, throwing out the back of his foot, fade away 3-ball, Dirk Nowitzki. What are you doing? That was it. That was his mistake. Yes, that sucked. But he put us back in position to win that game. To get back in that game, he did. 14-16. You know what the defense did? 13-16, because Blake Griffin missed. Guess what? Blake Griffin was injured going to the game, and they decide, let him kick anyways. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't need to warm up. He doesn't need to practice the week. Misses the PAT, whatever. 3 points. 1 point's not gonna change how this game is impacted, looked at. What changes the game is your defense, Dennis Allen, that you're known for not being able to do shit. Nothing. The run game can't stop a Colt. The pass game gets penalties left and right. Marshawn Lattimore's chilling. I'll let you know he's chilling. They're not throwing the ball at him. He hasn't done anything. And he hasn't done anything because they're not throwing him the ball because he's so locked down. But Paulson Adebo, Paulson Adebo's guarding man one-on-one deep field. I'll check it to him. You want to know why? PI. Boom. Easy 50, 60 yards right there. Boom. Easy. Put a safety over that man every single play, because you want to know what's going to happen if not? Teams are going to look over there, see man on man, chuck it deep. Why not? Yes, he has a bunch of picks, and he makes up for it right after the PI. Most times, somehow, bless his heart, I love Paulson Adebo. I think he has the right athleticism that this team needs. He has the right characteristics that the team needs. He's aggressive. He could tackle well. But man, he does not know how to not get a PI, which stinks. I'm not like, yeah, it does stink. And it's not always his fault. Some of that PI was a little bit iffy in the Chiefs game. I'm not going to lie to you. They're both looking for the ball. Very, very little contact. He falls over because he's 160 pounds. And I didn't like the call. Rashid Shaheed got hit the same way. They didn't call that. So it was iffy. But then you get to the end of the game. We're down 2 scores. You need to score on this drive with nine and a half minutes left. 4th and 8. You see, it's engage 8. They're bringing everyone on the line. They're not hiding it. Steve Spagnuolo isn't hiding that. Everyone's blitzing. 4th and 8, game on the line, and you throw the ball to Mason Tipton. And here's the thing. Everyone's going to say, oh, Derek Carr just threw it up to Mason Tipton. Why would he do that? He was asked post-game, who was the number one target, number one read on that play? Mason Tipton. Boom. Clint Kubiak, what are you doing? What are you doing? Mason Tipton had more targets than Chris Olave, your star receiver, who has been balling out when you throw him the ball every single week. And this game, Mason Tipton had more targets than him until garbage time. Why? It should never be a thing. Even if you are if they're doubling him, you scheme up plays to get him open and throw him the ball. Quick outs, quick routes, quick slants, a little bubble screen, anything. You get him the ball. And the way that they just absolutely avoided it, that's not on Derek Carr. Derek Carr's not calling these plays. And when he's open, he was throwing it to him. Yeah, they had a deep connection that got called back due to penalty. And on that play where it was 4th and 8, game on the line, Derek Carr threw an absolute dime with players in his face to Mason Tipton. And this is no hate to Mason Tipton. I love the guy. The fact that you're from a Yale, and as an undersized receiver from Yale, you come into the NFL as an undrafted free agent, ball out in training camp, only play 1 week at training camp, miss every single preseason game, and you're on the team, you're a dog. And I'm not blaming him for missing that catch. He had a catch earlier in the game, pretty much the same over the shoulder, huge adjustment, just couldn't get his feet down. He made that catch, couldn't get his feet down. This one went through his hands. I'm not going to blame him for that. But why is he the number one target and not your number one receiver of the year in the last 3 years? Why? There's no rhyme or reason. And it's shown that the last 3 weeks without Taysom Hill, or last 2.5 games without Taysom Hill, because last week he only played half a game. Without Taysom Hill, this offense has no clue what it's doing. None. Absolutely none. Shuts down. Clint Kubiak can't call play without him. They can't score without him either until they get to the red zone. Once they get to the red zone, they're scoring like every single time right now. It's ridiculous. We're a red zone scoring team, but we can't get to the red zone without Taysom Hill right now. That's our issue. And until we fix that, we're not winning games. And maybe Spencer Rattler will. Maybe he will fix it. So I'm excited to see what he does in this game. I love Spencer Rattler. And as an OU fan, I was bummed for what happened to him, but it is what it is. Caleb Williams came in balled out, so it wasn't too frustrating. But Spencer Rattler, man, if you come out and light this world on fire, Saints fans will be thanking you for years to come. Anyways, that's going to do it, guys. That's for the end of this episode of Jenks and Hammer, and possibly the last episode ever for the Jenks and Hammer. As you guys heard earlier, please let me know if you guys have any name recommendations. I'd love to hear any. I got to rebrand, figure something out. So if you guys have a name, just let me know down below. Anyways, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, and follow us at Jenks Hammer Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And we'll see you guys next week.